Good morning, my brothers and my sisters.
Good morning, Father.
We thank God for a new morning, and we want to ask God to bless our day and to bless our work. In the gospel reading of today, blessed are you, yours are the kingdom of God, and woe to you. The gospel reading is full of God's blessings as well as curses. When you meet misfortunes, grief, tragic loss in life, how do you really respond as Christians and as God's people? With fear or with faith? As Christians, we are called upon that when grief, pain, and tragic loss come on our way, we need to have a strong faith in God. We need to trust God. We know that no one can escape all trials in life, like pain, suffering, and death. Where Jesus Christ is, there is life. When Jesus began to teach his disciples, he gave them a way of happiness that transcends, that goes beyond every difficulty and trouble that can weigh us down in this life of grace. Sometimes we find ourselves entangled with grief and despair, but we as Christians, we should not give up. Jesus Christ began his sermon on the mount with where we can find true happiness. But he also calls us for an inner transformation, an inner change when we embrace and cherish him. The true happiness is found and fulfilled in a life of grace, a life of sacrament, a life of prayer, a life of loving one another. It also calls for self-emptying, that you give yourself out for others. You don't husband your life, but you share your life for others. Then you'll find true happiness. Beatitudes, that means happiness or blessedness in God's presence, gives us energy in this life. It also calls for the spirituality of virtues, the spirituality of goodness. All of us as Christians, we need to be good because the God whom we worship is a good God. And when he touches us, he transforms us to be good and better Christians. He also gives us a life of joy. When we love our neighbor, then we live a life of beatitudes, a life of blessedness, a life of happiness. And we call also to mind the words of our Pope Francis when he tells us that out of love, then there is no salvation. We need to love one another, and then we shall find ourselves on this road of salvation. Let us love one another. Let us comfort one another. Let us share with one another, and then we shall have lived the beatitude. Do not love the world. It is passing away. That's what we have heard from the first reading. The world is passing away. And when we love the world, let us not give up on God. May the good Lord bless us to live a life of love, to fulfill beatitudes in our present situations. The Lord be with you.